Hey folks, Jerry Stevenson, Chief Redneck in Charge at the Redneck BBQ Lab, McGee's Crossroad in Benson, North Carolina. Here today in the RBL studios to show you guys how to make shrimp gumbo at home, just like I do at mine. But first, please go, if you hadn't already, like this channel, subscribe to it, click on that bell so you know when future videos, much like the one you're watching right now, are released. Share this with your friends. We're doing this for you guys. We just want to pass along not only a little bit of a knowledge, a little bit of some of the topics we talk about, but to maybe pass on a little inspiration for you to go home and cook, you know, for your friends, for your family, or basically with your kids or with your family. And that's why we're doing this, just for you guys. And always, please leave your comments as to what you thought about this video, and leave us some suggestions as to future videos that you guys would like us to do in the future here at the RBL studios. Like I've said before, we'll do anything but sing and dance for you. You just got to know what you want. So anyway, let's talk shrimp gumbo. Growing up in Eastern North Carolina, Louisiana food was not something that I had. Matter of fact, I really didn't first venture into Louisiana food until I was in my 20s. I went through Lafayette, Louisiana. I had blown out a tire. I went to a local tire shop to ask these two fellows, like, hey, where can I get something good to eat? And they came out with this language that just killed me. You know, it was this Creole type language, and they were telling me to go to the Olive Garden and this stuff, and I was laughing. And I was like, no, where do you go? Where do you take your family to eat on Sunday afternoons after church? So these folks are like, oh, wait a minute, now you're serious. So then they started telling me about where to go get this food and what to get at which place, you know, anything from Poor Boys to Etouffee. But one of the things that they said you have to get was in a place called Préjean's. They told me to get the gumbo. They said that by far it was the best gumbo that was being made in Louisiana. And it probably would start a fight right now with a few of my friends from Louisiana. Everybody's got their favorites. It's like North Carolina barbecue sandwiches, or with me, the best hot dog in North Carolina. And that was probably a hot topic back then, probably still is now. But anyway, I jumped on that train and then started eating a lot of food. I love to eat. And this is one of the things that I picked up down there and I brought home and kind of adapted to the way that I cook and my style, and using some of the smokers that I had to try some different stuff and do some different stuff. So here's my take today. I'm gonna share with you guys on how to do shrimp gumbo at home, just like I do at mine. The first thing is that you have to have is these beautiful shrimp right here. These are green-tail shrimp. We're lucky enough to catch these at certain times of years off of the coast in North Carolina. These are large shrimp. They're what they call 16s, basically 16 count per pound, which is basically a 1 ounce shrimp. The beautiful thing about these green-tails is they spend their time out in the ocean. These are where they caught. So they're already brined. They've been in that salt water. They're plump, they're juicy. You bite into them and they pop. And they're perfect for gumbo. And some of the other recipes that I may use these for, that you guys may find on this YouTube channel if you look, with some of the other dishes that I'll use these to prepare these shrimp with. But today, these are going to find themselves into a pot and hopefully make some gumbo that on this cold, dreary, rainy day here in North Carolina, that is going to make my belly smile and really happy. So first thing that I want to do with my gumbo is the basis of gumbo starts out with the Trinity, and the Holy Trinity down in Louisiana is the green pepper, the celery, and the onion. And that's basically what we have here today. We've got some celery stalks that I went ahead and lopped off the ends, trimmed them off, washed them out. We're just going to put them into a pan right now. The parts of the celery, I know I talked to you guys before with the spatchcock chicken video, and if you hadn't seen the spatchcock chicken video, you may want to go. Like I said, I keep pointing towards this YouTube channel because there is a lot of information here, a lot of videos that we provided you. But if you remember, we had saved the chicken backs when we spatchcocked that chicken. I said put them in a bag and freeze them. Well, the ends of this celery, here's a pro tip, cooking tip really, is the ends of these I save and throw into a bag as well, along with some of the onions and bits we have left over. And these are put into a stock pot later on. We make a chicken stock, which we will use in soups and stews as well. But today, I went ahead and did that before. We have one large yellow onion here. I prefer the sweet onion over the regular yellow or red or the purple onion. We'll go ahead and just kind of knock the ends off of that. Take the skin off. I'm gonna leave these whole, and it'll come, the reason I'm leaving these whole, not chopping these up right now, you'll see why in the next step. Because if you haven't guessed it right now, these are going onto the smoker. It's one of the steps that I like to do. Not only the roux that I do, but the vegetables itself go onto the smoker, and it gives this like deep flavor, not a super overindulgent smoke flavor in it, but it just is this background thing. I mean, for lack of a better word, I just use the word sexy. It's just this thing in the background that just kind of makes your mind and your taste buds kind of go, wow, this is really good. And I truly believe that smoker's the way to do it. Here's my deviation. I'm not a huge green bell pepper fan for some reason. I used to eat them as a kid like apples, but I absolutely love a poblano pepper. This is one of the things you can find in a lot of the supermarkets now. It's usually with the peppers and maybe Hispanic section. But poblano peppers, I really love the flavor in stews and gumbos and stuffed peppers. I know a lot of people do, bell peppers, they do stuffed peppers, but like I keep telling you guys, we've got a stuffed poblano pepper recipe that's really, really good. And this is the pepper that I prefer. So this is what I do to prepare these. I knock the end off of this, like so. Just kind of take the end off of it. And as you can see in here, there's some ribs and seeds. I'm just going to take my knife and take that out right now. And just kind of very gently go in here. As you can tell, I've got my small paring knife today. Once again, I hopped up here and do not have the right thing. And I'm just going to pop that out and just take this and do like that. Just give it kind of a knock these little bits of seeds out, and then I'm going to put this onto a pan. Now that I've got these on a pan, I'm going to go ahead and take these vegetables outside. I'm going to throw them into a smoker. I'm going to smoke these probably for 1 hour, and it's going to knock a lot of the moisture out, but what will be replaced with the moisture in here will be a concentrated vegetable flavor and a smoke flavor in it. So I think this is one of the things, like I say, that roux is super important in making this gumbo, but also what we're about to do to these vegetables. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and pop these in the smoker outside for about 1 hour, and then I will be right back in to show you guys the next step and how to make shrimp gumbo at home like I do at mine. All right, our smoker is jumped up in heat. We just got it started. Once we throw something in here to settle down, probably run around 275. We've got our Cajun Trinity in here. We're gonna throw it in here for about 1 hour, and we'll come back and pick it up a little later. All right, folks, we're back off the smoker. We got our vegetables. Remember we did that Cajun Trinity, that celery, that onion, and I know I went off script. Instead of doing a bell pepper, I did a poblano pepper. That really would have been off script, did a jalapeno. No, poblano pepper. I went ahead and diced these up real quick. Rough chop them, because once we cook this, we're gonna cook this for about 1 hour. These will pretty much melt and combine to kind of make this gravy of sort. So just I gave them a quick rough chop, got them right here. We'll go ahead and add them to a cast iron Dutch oven. I highly recommend, if you don't own one, to go right now and buy one. Buy one for your spouse, your mother, your brother, your sister, your significant other. Buy one right away. They're just great. The heat on these is what's really, really great, is that cast iron dissipates heat. Instead of just radiating into one spot or concentrating in one spot, it kind of radiates out and does an even cook. It's great with this cast iron Dutch oven, because once I put a lid on it, it's really tight. The steam doesn't escape as much, so it helps concentrate a lot of the liquid back in here versus evaporating. Really, really great thing. So, no, it's not Christmas just yet, but if you're looking for something for Father's Day, Mother's Day, birthdays, cast iron Dutch oven, really, really cool gift. This smells really great. It's really fragrant. It's really smoky, but it reminds me, like I've always said every time I think I cook this, it reminds me of walking down the Midway at a fair. The vendors there cooking the Polish sausage, you know, with peppers and onions. And that's what this smells like. I'm gonna go ahead. This is my roux. The roux, the way I make it, I combined 2 cups all-purpose flour to 1 cup peanut oil. You don't have to use peanut oil. You can use canola oil or anything like that. My roux, as you can see, is very dark. I like a dark roux, a heavily concentrated one. This is not burnt. The way that I cook mine, which is pure blasphemy from folks in Louisiana, is I cook mine in a Dutch oven, in the oven. Don't cook it. I don't sit there and stir it. Put it into a Dutch oven. It evenly heats it. It cooks it. You just have to basically watch it. This, to get to this color, took about 2.5 hours. To do just probably a regular roux would have took about 45 minutes. Like I said, I prefer a dark roux. Just like heat, you know, what you use for hot sauce or something in this, it's up to you. So should your roux color. Putting in here probably about 1/2 cup of roux in here to kind of start with. Mixing it in with these vegetables, kind of help them get a little bit of extra stuff to stick to. Stuff meaning the extra ingredients I'm getting ready to put in. To this, I'm going to add a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. I am going to add 1 tablespoon of hot sauce. If we're in Louisiana, pop quiz, we would use what hot sauce? Louisiana hot sauce, Tabasco maybe. Here in North Carolina, what hot sauce will we use? Texas Pete, yep. I'm a Texas Pete guy. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of minced onion. This is dehydrated onion. It just kind of gives it a background flavor. I know we've already got that 1 smoked onion in there. 1/4 teaspoon of thyme. Tablespoon of roasted garlic. This is our roasted garlic that we roasted on the smoker that we keep in the refrigerator and later freeze. Man, this is already smelling good. Teaspoon of granulated garlic. Like I said, it just gives it another depth of flavor. A couple bay leaves. Last but not least, this is a regional Cajun seasoning I came across in my travels down there. Any Cajun seasoning will do. This is about a tablespoon. I'm gonna add that to it. Once we've got that going on, pull this off the heat just a little bit. Starting to get a little burn going, it'll be all right. Next thing I'm gonna add to this is the shrimp stock. This is shrimp stock, 2 cups worth of shrimp stock. I'm gonna add in probably about 3/4 of that. So cup and 3/4 of shrimp stock to this. Shrimp stock, where do you get that at? Well, you really can't get that anywhere. Shrimp stock is made by taking the heads and the shells of the shrimp, putting them in a pot, cleaning them off first, basically rinsing them off, in a colander, putting them into a pot and then simmering them for several hours in water, cold water to start with, bringing them up to the simmer. Don't want to get it to a boil, but getting it in there and letting it kind of get together and marry together and cook for several hours. It's just shrimp shells, shrimp heads, and water. The shrimp gives off this buttery type taste with a lot of stuff that's in it. And it adds really a great depth of background to this shrimp gumbo we're making. Now, you might not be able to make shrimp stock or anything at home. Chicken stock will do. No one's going to say, wow, it's shrimp chicken stock gumbo or anything like that. You folks won't even know it. I just kind of take the time. It's I kind of like using, repurposing all the things of all the animals or the shellfish that we've got, and shrimp stock is one of them. And like I said, if you smell it, it smells briny. It smells like the ocean. Just adds kind of a background flavor that's just kind of hard to beat in this. Now we want to just kind of take this up to a boil. Once we get up to a boil, that's when our roux, that dark roux that we've got, that will be at a peak of thickening power. And then we just want to kind of let this go for a little while. Now I know you guys are like, hey, look, this is a shrimp gumbo. Where's the shrimp? Well, you're gonna have to stay tuned to that. We'll be right back a little bit later to show you what we do with those shrimp and how we finish off this dish. All right, folks, this has been cooking now for about an hour. It's reduced down, it's thickened up nicely, coats the back of a spoon. This is the final step in here before the final step of eating, that is we go ahead and we put in the shrimp into this and let them finish off in there nice and slow. This is one of the things, one of the secrets behind cooking shrimp, or at least my secret is a lot of times is I like putting these in to a pot of boiling water. And as soon as the water kind of calms down a little bit, when all the stuff gets in there, I like putting a lid on it and just letting it sit and letting all the heat, the natural heat that's in here from this liquid, from this pan and everything, it'll draw to the shrimp and help cook them. That keeps your shrimp from drying out, becoming rubbery and spongy and not really good to eat. And this is one of the tips I like to do here. So you can see this is reduced down. It's got a nice slow simmer to it. And I'm gonna go ahead and add these shrimp to it. Give them a quick stir to kind of get them incorporated in there real gently. It's like you were folding in egg whites into a cake with these shrimp. Shrimp are very, very delicate. We get these in there. Get them in there, get them covered a little bit. I'm gonna bring this up, the heat up just for a second. Want to see it kind of get up right before a boil. Just kind of see some heat back in it. And then, like I said, we will go ahead and we will put this lid on it and let it sit. Now, this is the thing is a lot of times it depends on the size of your shrimp. You have smaller shrimp, you can let them sit for 5 to 10 minutes, but these being the larger shrimp, these 16s and stuff, I'm probably gonna, once I get this back up and we see this kind of come up to a boil and boiling, probably gonna let this sit for about 15, 20 minutes before I serve it. And of course, I'll have to check one. Me being the chef, I have to check a shrimp prior to serving it to my guests. So I'm gonna bring this up to a boil. I'm gonna go ahead and as you can see, as soon as I say that, like magic, we can start seeing the little bubbles start popping up here and there on the shrimp. As soon as this gets going just about like this in a couple seconds, here comes another one and another one and another one. And I'm happy with it. And voila. I'm gonna go ahead and put this lid on it, turn the heat off, and basically let this sit for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then we're gonna come back and show you guys how to plate this. And more importantly, I'm gonna tuck into this and see how I did today. So stay tuned, be back about 15, 20 minutes. All right, folks, 15 minutes has gone by. Shrimp have been sitting in our pot off heat. Heat went off as soon as we got it back up to a boil, cut it off, let it sit. Just kind of let them naturally kind of finish off. Like I said, one of the little tricks that I like to do. Shrimp are real delicate and don't need any extra help cooking sometimes. And man, I just got blindsided right here by this big old waft of smoky, yummy shellfish. Y'all, it's kind of hard for you guys. Like I said, at home, you only have the sense of sight, whereas I've got smell and taste and feel and everything else. So you're doing yourself a disservice if you do not do these recipes at home. But much like this one, I can look at these shrimp and tell that they're done. They like I said, they shrink up, they curl up a little bit. You start seeing the little parts where I deveined them kind of sticking out, and I know they're done. So let me show you guys how I finish this off. You always cook a pot of rice. It used to be one of the things you always had back growing up, was always kind of a pot of rice or a pot of grits for breakfast laying around. So you're gonna need you a pot of rice here, probably a big pot for your friends. Just spoon a little bit of this over the top of it like this. I did add a little bit of additional thickener to this. I added a little of the gumbo filet. Add a couple more to this. And we'll finish it with a little bit of that gravy we made with the roux and those smoked vegetables. Man, this smells good. Last thing I like is I do like a little bit more onion. You guys know I added dehydrated onion in there as well as that smoked onion. Put a little bit more onion on it. And the last thing that I finished this off with, a little bit of parsley on top of it. You got to have a big old piece of bread with this. There you have it, folks. That's the shrimp gumbo that kind of my take on it that I got from being down in Louisiana and spending a little bit of time down there working and enjoying not only their hospitality but their cuisine. So one last thing to do here before I tell you guys goodbye, and let's see how I did with this. It's tough being me some days, and today is one of those days it's really tough being me. Here we go. Shrimp cooked perfect. Like I said, on foolproof methods, put the shrimp in, bring them to a boil, pull them off the heat, cover them. These North Carolina green-tail shrimp, super juicy, man, super good. Just the salt's built into them. This roux has got a lot of smoke, deep flavor. If you don't like a deep smoky flavor, use a roux more to the blonde end, or it's not as dark as the one that I used, you know. If you like a little bit more heat on this I think is great. It's got a great amount of heat on it. It just sneaks up on you on the back. You can add hot sauce to this. You can add more pepper to this. You do whatever you want. I'm just going to tuck in this and destroy this here after a second. So let's recap what we did. First thing we did is we smoked our vegetables, our holy trinity, so to speak. You know, poblano pepper, which I know is not, it's usually a bell pepper, but we use a poblano pepper today. Celery and onion. We put them on the smoker for 1 hour, brought them back in, we chopped them up, put them into a pan, we added that roux in. That roux was made using 2 parts AP flour along with 1 cup of peanut oil. I cook mine in a Dutch oven similar to this. We cook it for just about 2.5 hours to get that dark flavor. That's why I said mine's really dark. It's got a lot going on. I'm just sitting here ready to eat more of this, but I'm just like, wow, there's just all these things going on in my brain, taste-wise. We add that roux. We add all those spices. I mean, the garlics, the Worcestershire sauce, the hot sauce, the dehydrated onion, the Cajun seasoning that we put in there. We added to this our shrimp stock that we had made using the heads and the shells off of these shrimp. We repurpose everything, anything we can off of an animal, and that shrimp stock is well worth it. If you don't have shrimp stock, chicken stock will do. No one will be able to tell the difference between chicken stock and water, but it'll be all right. But if you can make that shrimp stock, I highly recommend it. It adds a depth of flavor into this. It just makes you wonder what it is because you're not used to eating it. We put it into the cast iron skillet, brought this up to a boil, dropped it to a simmer, let it go for about an hour, threw our shrimp in there, got it back up to a boil, let it sit. One of the things I did is I put a little bit of the gumbo filet powder into it to tighten it up just a bit, and plus the sassafras, the ground sassafras root. This stuff adds another depth of flavor, and that's why I said depth of flavor a lot of times makes you stop and think instead of just eating something. Sometimes you eat and you enjoy it because you're like, wow, what did I just eat? What was that? And you try to figure out what it is, and sometimes your family and friends, you can actually make it into a game. So, once again, Jerry Stevenson talking entirely too much here at the RBL Studios representing the Redneck BBQ Lab, McGee's Crossroad in Benson, North Carolina. I've got Mike Baker with Event Webcasting. He is the brains behind all this stuff that you see here in the studios. Big shout out to him for supporting us and being here and putting up with me, and he unfortunately has to eat this too. Thank you to you. We love you, we do this for you, so please like this video, like this channel, subscribe to it if you're not already subscribing to it, click on the bell so you're notified when the videos drop, the new stuff drops. You guys are the first ones to know about the new content and can see some stuff. Share this with your friends. We're not only dropping a little bit of knowledge, we're just dropping a little bit of inspiration to you folks. Hopefully you can take this, cook with your family, cook with your friends, just cook for yourself sometimes and enjoy it. So please, please, please share this, subscribe, like, leave your comments as to what you thought about the video and suggestions as to what you guys would see here in the future. Once again, I'm Jerry Stevenson. Please be kind to one another, smile, be patient. We need it, the world needs it, our kids need it. Let's make it a better place. Positively can do it. Thank you guys, love you.